In a functioning justice system, a victim reports a crime and the gears of the law begin to turn. But what happens if those gears are intentionally jammed? What if the institutions designed to protect you are the ones who have locked you out? Hans Smedema has spent over 20 years documenting this exact exclusion. He alleges a multi-decade conspiracy of abuse and state-sponsored cover-up within the Netherlands, claims he has detailed across thousands of pages of research and self-published books. To understand these claims, we have to look past the underlying crimes and examine the system allegedly built to hide them, an entity Smedema calls the Omerta organization. His account identifies two specific figures behind this network: Joris Demmink, a high-ranking bureaucrat, and Jaap Dijs, a neighbor who allegedly enforced the silence at a domestic level. If the legal dead ends documented in Smedema's records are real, they suggest a methodical process for making an inconvenient truth disappear. High-level obstruction starts with administrative power. Joris Demmink was the Secretary General of the Dutch Ministry of Justice for over a decade, a position that gave him significant influence over police and prosecutorial appointments. In April 2004, a local police detective accepted a detailed criminal complaint from Smedema. Immediately after, the Ministry of Justice intervened. They explicitly forbade the detective from generating a procès-verbal, the mandatory official report required to log a crime in the Netherlands. Without that specific document, the legal system simply cannot engage. This single directive blocked a criminal investigation before it could begin, cutting off the primary entry point to justice. Next came the isolation. Smedema encountered what he describes as a cordon sanitaire, where hundreds of lawyers refused representation, allegedly due to state pressure and a suspected secret curatele that rendered him legally incompetent to hire counsel. The justification for this total blockade allegedly traces back to a 1973 royal special decree. Smedema claims this ruling, issued by Queen Juliana, granted the perpetrators total immunity under the classification of state security. By commanding the police to drop their pens and isolating Smedema from legal aid, the macro-obstruction successfully built an invisible wall around the case. While the ministry managed the courts, the cover-up allegedly required a local operative to manage Smedema's daily life. This was the role assigned to Jaap Dijs. Smedema alleges that Dijs engaged in constant micro-obstruction, intercepting legal mail, tracking his movements, and executing daily acts of sabotage to prevent him from organizing his defense. These methods were designed to be small but cumulative, preventing Smedema from gathering physical evidence or successfully communicating with the outside world. The high-level interference and the low-level harassment worked in tandem. As the doors to the courthouse were locked in The Hague, Smedema was being systematically isolated in his own neighborhood. Protecting the silence also meant aggressively eliminating evidence. Smedema's records detailed the disappearance of 50 separate police and intelligence files related to his claims. This chart illustrates the impact of that erasure. Notice the collapse in 1983. That represents the Frankfurt dossier, a 30-page Dutch intelligence file. Smedema alleges that after an American official discovered it at a military hospital, Dutch authorities destroyed the file within 3 days. Whistleblowers within the system faced similar pressure. When prosecutor Ruud Rosingen in 1991, he was reportedly forced into an immediate transfer to another city. The most extreme cases involved journalists investigating. Cees van 't Hoog, a neighbor who began investigating the case, was reportedly killed in a staged car crash in 1980, just as he was getting close to the facts. The Omerta system did not just hide the truth, it actively neutralized anyone who tried to find it. The final outcome of these tactics is a state of bewijsnood, a manufactured lack of evidence. The goal was to create a total void of official paperwork. This flowchart shows the paradox. The state demands proof to investigate, but because they erased that exact proof, the claim is rejected. The cycle loops indefinitely. The system then weaponizes this void. Unable to produce the destroyed files, Smedema's claims are labeled delusional. This is institutional gaslighting. By denying a victim's reality and using their resulting frustration as proof of insanity, the justice system effectively disarms the citizen. The alleged Omerta organization is a functioning machine. It isolates, erases, and discredits, rendering a citizen legally and civilly invisible. Regardless of the allegation's ultimate truth, the institutional anomalies documented here illustrate how a bureaucracy can theoretically ensure the truth simply ceases to exist.